Hey, if you like to shop on Amazon like most everybody, you can help Southgate Media Group out by going to southgatemediagroup.com and look at the top. There's an Amazon link. You can click that, log into your account, and a portion of everything you buy will help support the podcast of Southgate Media. So it's cheap, it's easy, and you're just doing the same thing that you would do anyways.
This is Dan Jurgens, and if you want to have a good time, keep listening to the Krypton Report.
It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Jason J. Lewis, the voice of Superman on Justice League Action. This is Mark Wade, writer of Superman Birthright, and you're listening to
the All Things Kryptonian podcast, including Superman and Supergirl.
We discuss games, movies, cartoons, TV shows, and comics.
Find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter.
Hey guys, before we get started, I just want to say, if you haven't done so yet, but check out the Aspiring Kryptonian podcast as well as the Last Sons of Krypton podcast, both hosted by friends of ours. Good time in the world of Superman. Welcome to the Krypton Report. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in this week as we attempt a new method of recording. So if things sound different and it's good, awesome. If it sounds different and it's bad, I apologize. We're trying to get the best, clearest audio, so we're trying a different way to record. And since I've said that, let's get on with the show. With me, as always, is that man of might, that Hercules himself, a He-Man to all, the Superman, Man of Steel, the Power of Red, the Beard of the North. I don't know, Mr.
No,
James
I
Cole.
shaved, but I have the power. Yeah, I did shave.
Yeah.
When it jumped like 40 degrees, when it went from like 40 degrees to above 80 degrees, got a little too hot too fast, and having to wear a KN95 in the nursing home all day long. It was a hot, rough day, so I decided I need a little air on my face, so I actually shaved.
See, that's the thing that's been so weird with everything here in the good old Ohio weather is 1 minute it's cold, and even the kids were like, "Dad, when do we get to stop wearing jackets?" And I'm like, "Buddy, I don't know. Okay, I don't know because it's May. We should not be wearing jackets. We should be more concerned with cleaning out Grandma and Grandpa's pool and busting out all the shorts, and like the sun is shining."
Yeah, well, unfortunately here in Ohio, unfortunately here in Ohio, we sometimes in May we get snow on the ground. So
I don't know. It's the apocalypse. Cats and dogs living together, complete anarchy,
mass hysteria.
I mean, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? You know what we are gonna do?
Go kill some zombies in Las Vegas. That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah. Yes. I was going to say, what we are going to do, and we're going to talk about trying to escape the Phantom Zone. And speaking of the Phantom Zone, yesterday, so I was doing some work, and Solomon was hanging out with me, and this season, Solomon's gotten into watching Legends with me. So we were watching Legends, and it was just a bonkers episode. And that's all I'm going to say is, so I just kind of turn it on in the background to kind of listen and kind of stay up with stuff. Same thing with another show. I just kind of have it playing in the background so I can at least kind of hear, see some beats, and not really focus on it. And on CW app, when a show ends and you're caught up, it'll promote something else. So Solomon's like, "Let's watch Krypton, Daddy." So we started a rewatch of Krypton yesterday.
Ooh, nice.
We started the pilot of Krypton, and I'm like, man, it still boggles my mind that show was announced the same time as Gotham. They were kind of both being talked about at the same time. It was right after Man of Steel. And then, Gotham went on for 5 seasons or 6?
5 seasons, 100 episodes.
So 5 seasons of Gotham. And then, Supergirl showed up. And then Krypton came and went in 2 seasons. Gotham was already off the air by the time Krypton premiered.
Yeah.
They were right there, kind of the same year or something like that. It was so close. And I'm just it just felt like it. And I mean, I love Krypton for so much because they were able to find a way to like, hey, we can connect both this vision that Zack Snyder had for Krypton as well as the vision that was done for the other incarnations of the character. So
Donner and comics and other older TV shows.
They were able to kind of pull it on and give this very, clear feel. So I respect that. And
it was very clear, but also very encompassing. It was really cool.
I wish that we had got more of that. But just throw that out there. There's not much in news right now. I mean, it's been kind of quiet with like actual real news. Let's see. The only thing that
Warner Brothers is waiting to, have their next knee-jerk reaction from the news that they let out and hear what people have to say.
Yeah. The one thing, did we talk about this? I can't remember. I thought I had it in my notes, but I feel like everything's a blur. Did we talk about that they might move, I think we did, Stargirl Season 3 to Vancouver?
Yes, we did.
Okay, I thought we did. And I just, yesterday, I thought it was a fan made, but then I've seen reports that it was actual CW, but there was like this really cool poster released that said Suit Up, and it's basically like a Justice League-esque, like heroes from all the different shows of, the CW verse. And it's neat, like, because it's got, Black Lightning, Flash, Stargirl, White Canary, Batwoman, Superman, Supergirl. And it's neat because it's like there's all the main characters or whatever from each show. But then I think about that Justice League, standing picture we got at the end of Crisis. And I'm like, well, 3 of these, people are going, and Stargirl hasn't even met anybody. So it's not really like they're all together photo.
Right.
And Batwoman.
The Black Lightning and Supergirl are about to be off the air. Arrow was he died back then. Stargirl's on another Earth. We got Legends, and there's White Canary and Flash, which both have another season next year. But honestly, with Legends, Katie Lotz has been like one of the most consistent. She's the captain, but that show also has a slight rotating cast, people in and out. So she could leave if she so choose, or if they wrote her out, or however.
Yeah, and nobody knows Batwoman. If you think about it, like nobody knows who Batwoman.
Yeah, nobody knows Ryan Wilder. And then we've got Kate Kane returning in Batwoman as well, as well as Day. So
yeah, I have one episode of Batwoman to catch up to, just because I wanted to get to how they do this return Kate Kane thing.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. So I was thinking about that as I was watching Supergirl, which we're getting to. So we'll put a pin right there in that. The other thing is, I saw people hating on Twitter, like, because one, Superman was floating higher than Supergirl in the photo. And I'm just kind of like, oh my gosh, people. Like, it's like they're going to just start hating on everything. And I'm like, there is the point, because, her show is ending in August. Like,
right. Well, also, they've got Tyler is not actually like the biggest guy in that photo, like the biggest person there. So like have him floating, and just the way his suit gives him the wide shoulders and the small waist look, like it looks like he's up there to like accentuate that, so he looks a little bit more monolithic.
Mm-hmm. It just, it's like you can't do anything without people hating, and that's just kind of where we're getting. But there's always someone out there like, this is hating, and
oh yeah, you can't do that anymore. It's you can't stop that anymore. It's that's all people do these days. So everybody has to throw out some hate, some shade. So it's just that's why we talk about what we enjoy.
Amen. Amen. Now, the other thing that we got that was kind of just small was a Zack Snyder. So obviously he can't release his Green Lantern, footage and everything that was done. So what he did was he released, he had a finished version of what Green Lantern would look like on his phone. And he had a picture taken of him holding his phone. So it's like a video clip. And that was released. So that's how we got a look at what the Green Lantern would have looked like.
Yeah. And I must say, it looked kind of cool. From what I could tell, the idea was to make it as, since it was going to be CG, but to make it look as real as possible. Uniform.
It looks like it. It looks like
it does. Yeah.
The technology has advanced so much in digital costuming since, the original Green Lantern film.
Oh, yeah. That was 10 years ago now.
And that you can do a digital costume and not realize it. I hate to say it, but you know how much it shocked me to realize later that Jor-El's armor in Man of Steel was all digital, it wasn't a real costume.
Yeah, because I thought I had seen behind the scenes of him in that, but I think I was just confusing the big cloak cape type thing he's wearing when he's talking to the people, because it's still really big and stuff. The way it looks, I think I was just confusing that image from behind the scenes with the armor.
Yep, same thing. And so the other thing, so we got that image, and it looks good. I wish we could see it, and I wish it would have worked out. But there was Dave Bautista has been quoted a couple things because he really wanted to play Bane, and I just wanted to share this little quote from an article he did for Collider. Dave Bautista shares how he would approach playing Bane. I could play Bane in a way that's not only menacing and ominous, but also freakishly intelligent. So menacing and so terrifying and so intelligent, he would hardly ever raise his voice. And I just thought, Dave Bautista was always he's proven that he's improved himself as an actor. And I think him as Bane would have been a great opportunity, a great choice. We talked about the other day that we have not really had a great Bane. Tom Hardy was good, but he was also in the Nolanverse.
Yeah.
In the other two versions of Bane we had are trash.
One of the good things we got out of Tom Hardy's Bane was he gave some speeches and stuff, but everything he said had a purpose, and it was manipulating people. He was very intelligent, as well as, obviously he was a powerhouse in the Nolanverse, in the Dark Knight trilogy. But still, Bane, I think even Batista would be able to pull off a Bane of little words, you know what I mean? Not speaking at all, but speaking and having such a calm demeanor because everything he says means something. Everything he's going to get his way, and he doesn't have to be threatening or menacing because he is by his mere presence. His being one of the smartest people in the room and also being the biggest person in the room.
Right. Exactly. And yeah, I would have really liked to have seen that. Let's see. The only other thing I want to just mention quickly is, as of this recording right now, if you were to get on Twitter, there is a huge push right now for the Air Cut. Release the Air Cut. There's a lot of behind the scenes photos that are being shown and tossed around, and alternate looks and costuming of stuff that was filmed and done. So if you're interested in that, I actually just picked up the movie novelization from the library of Suicide Squad because I heard it has a lot more of the story and ideas that were in the air cut before the studio changed it. So I'm going to try to crack that open sometime and read that. I'm interested in what that'll bring. But yeah, so last thing I want to mention is because we're going to get into Supergirl's finale, mid-season, season 6, episode 7 here, is I was thinking about this as I had Batwoman on the background and I watched Supergirl. I will be very upset if when Supergirl gets out of the Phantom Zone, if they don't address anything about Kate Kane's disappearance. Because like Supergirl / Kara was like Kate's biggest fan. You know, she was like, oh, it's Kate. Like she's always excited. They were trying to form a stronger friendship and bond.
Yeah, they were forming the bond that Batman and Superman tend to have.
And, you know, I posed it once before. It's interesting because you always saw like Batwoman and Supergirl have, I think, a different dynamic than Batgirl and Supergirl do because, you know, they're both the cousin to the larger hero or main hero, however you want to word it, the counterpart. And I was thinking about that, like, because, you know, if we line the time up, Kara's in the Phantom Zone. So that would explain why she doesn't know what's going on. But if she gets out and she doesn't have any kind of like, what happened to Kate? Like, if there's nothing with that, it'll be very disappointing. So, just because it's random, like there'll be dialogue in random spots where they tell like the shows are still connected or they're on the same Earth. When you know, like,
right.
There'll be a line here and there, but nothing's been like really strong. I mean, this past week's episode of The Flash was good in some regards, but in others it felt kind of like, I don't think Barry didn't even put the suit on. So it was kind of sad and disappointing.
Oh, okay.
In that way, and it just it definitely has some cool points, but the more I think about like how COVID has affected filming and how you start to see these shows, how they used to be in these smaller scales and how they're using limited sets and limited actors and everything, it's a big deal.
Oh yeah, Supergirl was always out on the street and things popping off and falling and crashing down and people running and things like that. And we have gotten nothing but the cast of the show for 7 episodes.
Right. I mean, for the think about this, like Supergirl, I mean, it's basically been in the Tower and in the Phantom Zone.
Yeah.
So, and then the Midvale is like the biggest episode they had. So that's why they did it as a 2-parter. Like, we're all here, we're all safe. Let's just keep going. So I don't know. It's just, it's starting to kind of show for series and shows that we're used to watching. And especially if you watch anything else that's new that was filmed pre-COVID. Like, I say pre as in before the shutdown and everything. Not like it's over or anything, but you can tell the feel. Like, Jeannie and I have been watching Jupiter's Legacy on Netflix. And most of that was filmed in the end of 19 at the start of 2020. Before the shutdown. And it has a different feel to it. You know? And
right.
So the more I think new stuff that comes out having filmed after the COVID, we'll see things will be kind of, we'll start to see more of how things had to be handled. But we can keep going on. It's a beautiful day out. Let's talk some Supergirl here. Supergirl season 6, episode 7. Fear Not. Directed by David Harwood. And it says not with a K. And I was like, are we on a ship? Or is this something about a wedding? Like tying the knot? But I don't know if they're just trying to be clever.
I think it's not because like they're all
tied
intertwined. Together. Yeah, their fear, everything that they're going through is all intertwined together.
I mean, that makes sense. I just thought it was kind of fun.
Because we've got sort of a Groundhog's Day situation going on in this episode, because we keep seeing the repeat of they enter the Phantom Zone and John is like, all right, let's do our final checks, and then they focus on another person or set of persons.
Yeah, so I mean, it sets up at the beginning and starts with we see Kara in the Phantom Zone. Real quick, I mean, like the scene is almost a blink and you miss it, and she's talking to her father, and they fight a phantom, and she gets scratched across the neck, and we see her eyes kind of go white, and she falls to her knees. And then basically that's it, and it cuts, and then Brainy and Nia return, and they've been gone for 3 days. And he says, I really do stink at being a time traveler. You know, he mentions how he is not a good time traveler because...
What do you say, missed by 12,000 years at one point? Nice little ongoing joke for Brainy.
It is, but at the same time, he's supposed to be like a 12-level intellect, and he's supposed to be with the Legion where they time travel often. And I got thinking about this, like they've never used their Legion ring for time travel, have they?
No, it's always been the ship.
Yeah.
I know back a long time ago, well, heck, back just on Smallville, they used their rings for time travel.
Yeah.
But in most things that I've seen, animation, comics, Supergirl, they use a chronal sphere or some kind of device or ship or something like that to travel through time.
Which, I mean, it makes sense. But so they're gearing up to go, and like I said, the majority of this episode all takes place with on the tower, which we find out it's a ship.
Yeah, it's a Martian ship,
and you know, we have the great line of "I love Martian technology," and it launches like from the tower building, and you know, takes off. And what's funny is I'm watching this, and I make a comment like, "Man, how much I love John's Martian Manhunter suit." And Solomon goes, "Where's his Martian face? Like, why does he have his Martian face?"
Right.
And I'm like,
because it costs money to animate.
Yeah, because they don't do it digital, or they do it digitally. They don't do prosthetics, which would be cool to see.
Yeah. Which, you know, for them having a digital character and always being so close and stuff, you know, because it's not a ton of wide shots, you know, because the big wide shots cost more, you know, but having the close-ups of Martian Manhunter and David Harewood, they do a really good job.
Yeah, they do.
Most of the time, Supergirl's Martian Manhunter looks better than he did in Zack Snyder's Justice League. That's more just design.
Yeah, design-wise, yeah.
Yeah, that's more just design.
And then we get a cool line about Lena made yellow sun grenades to help power Kara or whatever once they see her to get her out of the Phantom Zone. I thought that was cool. And then they use a Phantom Zone projector, and they have like 2 hours to get Kara before the shields on the ship give out. And that's pretty much the setup. McGonn stays behind to patrol while they're gone.
Yeah, so we get our explanation of why McGonn's not in this episode.
And I mean, that's the big setup, because then it goes into, and we have Kelly talk about, you know, they talk about fear from the Phantoms and being in the Phantom Zone, like things that she learned, like when dealing, like tricks when dealing with fear about like what is real, what to do to remind yourself what is real. What do you do? Like what have you touched? What did you notice? So okay.
Yeah, like their little Harry Potter references, though. Dementor and Boggart and Patronus.
Yes.
Supergirl really loves their pop culture references.
I mean, they all do. Just you always have that character, like Cisco was like, the character on The Flash, and he's just kind of fizzled. But now you got Chester trying to be that, but whatever. But yeah, I mean, they make into the Phantom Zone we go. We have this set up, and this is, I don't know if I missed something or they did it intentionally, but we have Alex and Jean go to check something. They hit turbulence, and Phantom Prime has been released. Alex gets scratched on the neck, and they're like, "Oh, it's calling the other Phantoms to us. Alex, you have to stay behind. We got to put you in containment." She kicks John, puts him in containment. And she's like, I'll be the one to reach Kara. I'll be the one that has to save her as her touchstone. And then, like you said, it rewinds back to a certain point. And we basically go character by character.
Yeah. The Alex one, she's the first one who this ends up happening to. The fear visions that the Phantoms give you in the Phantom Zone, as opposed to the different ways that they attack in the physical realm, in the physical world. And the thing about Alex was like, I was like, what the heck is going on here? Because one, she attacks and defends herself and kicks the Phantom into the cage, into the containment unit, and then she kicks John into the containment unit. I was like, this isn't happening. I said, this is not real. Like, and then they do the rewind again. I was like, oh, yep. See, it wasn't. Like,
yeah, I paused. I was like, wow, this is deep. I was like, man, okay, that would be interesting if they decide to do something like this with Alex, where basically, like, it's the last season, pull all the punches, like, Alex dies or something, like she gives her life here to save Kara, I'm like, but then it does the rewind. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, I'm kind of wishing, like, I'm sitting there thinking, like, they just done, instead of like keep backing it up, it was like everybody was experiencing fear at the same time. But what we find out is basically they're all sitting and in their own heads. It's not like they're up moving around together. What I did like was Lena talking with Dreamer about her mom, and they bring up Lena's birth mom. And when she died, and she talked about how she fell through the ice and what Lena had gone through, and how she had this book of like fairy tales, and it was one of the only things she had left from her real mom. And then, of course, that sets Lena's fear about her mom drowning and the kelp water dragon spirit thing dragging her down.
Yeah. The one thing I did like, I think it was in that conversation where she asked Dreamer how her bracelets, how her devices, which I don't recall them doing back when Brainy was training her. So, I mean, you see, that's how long ago it was. That she got those devices that actually help to channel her abilities to be able to do what she does when she creates the fields and the whips and all that other stuff. Like, it's a device that Brainy gave her that helps her do that. Like, it's not just her powers to be able to do that. Somehow physically manifests her dream powers physically.
I liked it because he asked, like, how do you do it? And she's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
She's like, Brainy made it for me. I was like,
yeah,
okay.
She asked, how do they work? So I don't know.
And I'm just kind of like, oh, okay. That's cool. I mean, I don't know if that's exactly positive, but whatever. You know?
Right. Yeah. I mean, jumping ahead, my favorite part of the dreams of the fear was when Jean actually wakes up from the fear and he goes to talk to Brainy. Brainy snaps out of it, but that's because Brainy can compartmentalize his fear. Mm-hmm. But he's still experiencing the visions, and his greatest fear is not knowing when balloons are gonna pop. So there are balloons everywhere falling around him. That is hilarious.
He says, like, how's he from, like, a thin membrane of latex full of gas and pressure, you know? Like, and I was like, that is funny.
Yeah, for me, this entire room is filled with balloons. He's like, balloons? He said, it's balloons, John. And he's balloon, balloon, balloon. Thin sheets of rubber holding in all that pressure, not knowing when to pop. They must be stopped. Yeah. I laughed so hard that his greatest fear was balloons popping.
But I mean, you think about that. I mean, it's not wrong. Thin sheets of yeah. And then what I put on here is, I think it was in Kelly's fear when they all have like Sith eyes.
Oh, right.
We're walking around like, yeah, like, I'm like, okay. And the fear, like everyone having this fear, that's cool. I feel like almost every series has this type of episode.
Right.
Like, especially in genre television where everyone's experiencing their fear individually, and it's like we're going person to person. But at the same time, I feel like you're dragging this out. By keep backing up and redoing the same thing from a different point of view, we're not really gaining ground. We're experiencing what people's fears are and how they're trying to overcome them. But this just feels like you're dragging it out.
Yeah. This is kind of a different way. Like they did the Groundhog's Day on Legends. The way they did that, actually much more like Groundhog's Day, was a lot better than this. Everybody experiencing the same fear and in the same visions in the same 10-minute time span. Mm-hmm. You know, we got Alex's fear of if she fails, or also not if she fails, but if she's the cause of
the
failure, you know. And then Dreamer, what she's been dealing with all season, not being able to interpret her dreams, and her fear is that, you know, she's gonna not be able to do that, and people are going to die or get lost because of her, because she can't interpret her dreams. Lena's was drowning, and Kelly's was just everybody around her not being able to come back.
Yeah. What do you call it? I like the idea of it. I think just the execution, just in they drug it out. Like if they just would have had like that white light, and then we kind of just went and got to see everybody. I don't know. It just seemed like they were taking their time and dragging it a little bit more than they could have. Like there could, like, if you got into the episode, you could see little things you could trim or change to kind of build up more tension or action, because once we realize what's going on, it's like, oh, okay. Because like I said, when they all come out of it, they're still sitting there in the command room, all in their chair.
Right.
It wasn't like they were doing something and then they're all like experiencing their fear. I did like, though, there's the quick kind of foreshadow of when Kelly grabs. It's a shield, or it looks like a shield, but it's to represent the Guardian shield that we learned that she'll soon be donning.
Yeah.
And
she had a cool little fight scene, with that thing there. Like, it got her excited. You know, you could see it in her. You could see it in her face.
Well, I mean, I don't care who you are. If you're hanging out with these people all the time, you're going to want to be like, I can put on a costume and kick some butt, you know. And then, but then like, James, you don't have any skills. No, I got this, man.
Right. All I need is a badass super suit, and I got this.
I just need a super suit and an attitude. Oh, all right, guys, I'm done. I'm done. Oh, my nose. Like,
Yeah.
Or just you need to have been in the military for a little bit of time. Doesn't matter what you did. And maybe some karate classes. Like you need to be like a black belt.
Yeah, just not yet. I think over here you just need a basic self-defense course. And you're good. You're golden.
I once boxed a guy once. Oh, you're good, man. Come on.
Right. Yeah, me and my friends, we threw on the boxing gloves and, just threw hands in the backyard a bunch of times. We're good. I'm good. Let's do this.
I wrestled in middle school. Does that count?
Right.
The coolest part, though, is when Jean basically takes on Phantom Prime, and they do one of those, like, stare, push things, mind battles. The kind that when you're filming it, just looks like a two dudes staring at each other. That you definitely
making faces at each other.
That you definitely have to have post-production on.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool for a character like Jean, and especially against the Phantoms, because they are psychic based fighting, psychic based attacks. So it works with the post production on there, but sometimes when they do it, like Oliver versus the Anti-Monitor, just staring at each other, and yes. how everybody respawn the multiverse, by using the Care Bear stare.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could have done that a little bit better, but we won't go into that. Just from a visual kind of connection point of view, like how it all kind of worked. Like they could have been like, to restart the multiverse, you need heart and love and courage. And it was kind of like their energy.
That would really been the Care Bear stare.
I mean, that's what it is.
I mean, that's what it was. They might as well have just gone full and just called them by their Paragon titles.
That's what I'm saying. Like, or it's kind of making Captain Planet,
Right.
Now we're showing our age.
Yeah, for sure.
So now everybody's broke out of their fear. They're like, we're free. Because that's how they do it. They make weird sound effects. And Kara, we cut back to Kara now. We're like in the last part of the show, and Kara's sitting there with Zor-El, and he's talking, and Kara's losing her
they
hope.
don't all wake. Yeah, they don't all wake up. Once they're awake, there's only 5 minutes left in the show.
Yeah, I'm sitting there thinking, like, are they going to not go back to Kara? Like, because literally, like I said, that opening scene with her is blink and you miss it, and then I'm watching this, like, you're dragging this out, like. But we cut back, and she's talking to her father, and she's losing her hope. And they talk about hope is naive, and it was arrogant, and Kara's like in a dark place for her, like, and she's always been the hopeful, the inspirational character. And then Zor-El says, "You fixed me, you brought me back, and I want." I love the line because he mentions, his brother. And I was like, oh, yeah, hey, that's right. You do have a brother I wish you would talk about, because that's an interesting story that we never get. But anyways, and Kara snaps out of it. And they're talking about they'll figure something out. The Phantom Zone starts having earthquakes, and then, boom, here comes a giant sun grenade. And it explodes, and because Zor-El says, why am I feeling stronger? And Kara's like, my friends are here. And she grabs Zor-El, and they fly up to the ship. She comes in and hugs Alex, and then they're flying off, getting out of the Phantom Zone, and Nixley is on top of the ship. And I mean, it's just like that. Everything I just said, like boom, 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 boom. There's like no breathing room. It's like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, honestly, the only thing you get here is Zor-El feeling a little hopeful, trying to help her because she helped him. She was hopeful when she got there. She didn't give up. She wouldn't quit. And so she kind of gave him that feeling again, and now he's trying to do that for her. because she's finally succumbed to the fear and the visions of the phantoms in the Phantom Zone.
Exactly. And, I was thinking, like, I wonder from, like, a production standpoint if they had just, like, had Melissa, and I think the actor's name is Jason, who's doing Zor-El, and then I can't remember the actress's name is doing Nixley, like, on set for, like, maybe, like, 2 weeks or whatever, or a week or whatever, and they were just like, we're going to film everything for the Phantom Zone right now.
Right.
But maybe they had the rest of the cast, like, in quarantine. They had these 3 main players with the occasional, the other people that popped in, and filmed all of this at one time. And then we're like, okay. And that way we can edit it into the episodes. Because it kind of gives me that feeling, of just they filmed it all together to be able to edit.
Right. Well, what were their plans for this season? What has COVID protocols dictated that they do? How was their production changed and something to, like, do what they do coming in to save the time slot when Superman and Lois production halted for a couple of weeks, like, what did that do to Supergirl's production? Like, what episode were they on? What episode are they filming, or have they been filming? Like,
I think they're done.
Like, this stuff here is all post right here. And it looks pretty good, but all of that, none of that needed them except for on the Phantom set and green screen. Like, they could have done that, like you said, months ago. So, because the Phantom Zone, the wide shots they have, and of the ship and of the fractured islands in the Phantom Zone, looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it does. And I'm thinking, like, I know because they sent out a tweet that Legends is done for the season. Like, they're completely wrapped.
Yeah.
And I know that Supergirl started filming earlier. So I'm wondering if it's done, if it completely wrapped filming. Because I feel like, they want to kind of, everyone's here, let's do this, and kind of get it over with kind of thing. Like, instead of, like, taking the risk of, people being out and about. So I wonder if they've wrapped for this season or not. I don't know. I don't think they have, but I don't know. Because I haven't seen anything on social media that says we're done, like this was the wrap or whatever. So
no, but the last, like, 3 seasons, like at least 4, 5, and 6 of Legends, they've wrapped real early. Like, they always have. Like, they've wrapped before half their seasons were done and stuff, or by the time the mid-season break came around, whatever. Like, Legends filming has definitely been different than a different way than any other show has, because I've seen that. I'm positive I've seen that at least the last couple of years.
Well, a lot of it was because Legends, what do you call it? Legends, like, their schedule, they start at, like, the same time, but they don't start airing until later. So by the time they start to air, they're done.
Right.
And I mean, also I'm thinking about, like, just where they film, how that, like, they're on the Wave Rider a lot, which is, at one set. So yeah, I mean, it's a different kind of show, and they don't always have, like, the massive, huge, like, like we talked about before, like, in Supergirl, you have all the backgrounds of, like, Catco employees, and we'd see more of, like, on the streets and stuff. You don't get that in every Legends episode.
No, and Legends, they also have, we've talked about it, that they've scaled back the powers. Like, anybody whose powers cost a lot of money, they were some of the first people to go. And, Nate is still there, but he hardly ever steals up.
Yeah, I was telling Solomon about that.
Right. So it's all practical work, and then practical sets and the practical clothing that they wear for the time periods and whatnot. Like, less post in some respects too.
And then this season, at least this season, had a line about something that ties in, but it's just kind of a huge retcon and a change, and I don't want to spoil anything for you.
Okay. I mean, it would be a spoiler, but...
Too bad, James.
Right. I'd say it'd be a spoiler, but honestly, I don't know what they'd be retconning because I never finished last season.
Oh, then I'm going to tell you. You ready?
Yeah.
So the big retcon is that Gary's an alien.
Oh, Lord.
He's been an alien the whole time.
He's been an alien the whole time. Huh.
And like he, there's kind of things he says, like, because basically, like, and that's the big thing is now they're traveling through time because there's aliens doing stuff throughout time. Like the setup is so quick and like, huh? So
interesting.
That's their new thing is aliens with time travel.
Huh.
So I'm just kind of like, I'm like, that sounds cool, but then I'm like, because they referenced the DEO, and that's one of the reasons I brought it up is like they referenced the DEO and needing to they try to contact them, but they find out the DEO is basically shut down and stuff since Rama Khan and Lex and stuff. So,
oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah, so
that's cool. At least they tie that in.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. At least they reference like the world like that they're living in. But now we have to wait till August. And like I said, like I'm glad she's out. I hope that when they come back with the next episode, it's a little bit of a refresher. It's approached more from like almost as if the next episode kind of feels like it could be the start of a season.
Right.
Like Kara's out. She's like, we kind of get back to normal. Like, hopefully we address the Kate Kane thing. We try to address the Catco. Because, like we said, is Rojas still involved? Is William still involved?
Right. I do think with this being the final season for Supergirl, unless they do get Melissa back for a cameo here or there, and maybe a future crossover, or they bring her back to help Batwoman in an episode or something, like. If they have any plans for that for the future, I mean, I guess that would be okay if they didn't reference Kate Kane, but otherwise I think they ought to reference Kate Kane and Batwoman because it's the final season. We're not going to see them together.
Right. And just kind of like the world like that you missed while being stuck in the Phantom Zone, that weight of she could have helped find her friend or whatever had she not been trapped. Could be really interesting, but I don't know. The other thing is I would hope that they would bring her back because I definitely feel, I don't know, like I feel the absence that she should be at least addressed somehow with Superman and Lois. There should be something. Because I mean, even thinking about season 1 of Supergirl, how she was like messaging Clark, and we got the kind of CGI'd Clark showing up, Superman, just to kind of let us know he's there. It's like, I just feel like there should be something that acknowledges her and when things take place. Because for all we know, Superman and Lois technically takes place a little bit farther down the line. Maybe Tyler will appear in like the final episode or something of Supergirl, and it's kind of a lead into his show. I don't know. I just feel like you need something with them too, because we didn't really ever get the last beat of them together was that last crisis scene before he flew off. So
we got a trailer for Superman and Lois returning this coming Tuesday. And we get this one shot, which, you're talking about Supergirl, no reference and stuff like that. We get this one shot, looks like possibly 4 bad Supermen destroying a city. That could very well be another Earth, but still.
I mean, that would be awesome to have like an alternate Earth and see kind of Kara in evil Supergirl, which would probably basically be her, was it Overgirl or whatever it was?
Yeah.
just throw on her regular symbol.
Right. Just give her a black
done.
Supergirl suit, not the Overgirl suit, and yeah.
I mean, that's what they've done before to like cut costs. You can see where they'll just like change a symbol or like mix match some costumes and have people rewear them just to not have to build a whole new suit for something.
Right.
So I mean that could be. I mean that trailer looks good. Like I'm excited. Like we see Jordan punching a wall, and we got some good lines of dialogue about saving you. We see Lois talking to Captain Luthor. So, I mean, I'm excited for it to return on Tuesday. I am pumped. Even Solomon today, he asked me, Dad, when's Superman and Lois come back on? And I was like,
awesome.
I was like, good son. Good boy. Good boy. And I'm excited for that. You know what I'd really love to see an episode part of?
What's that?
I would love to see, and like, this is just, I think, a story that's yet to really be told in comics, is more of the dynamic of Jor-El and Zor-El. Like, I would love a scene in an episode or something. Maybe they're at the fortress and it's like a flashback and you have Jor-El and his brother like fighting or arguing or something. And you see this kind of rift between the brothers. And, you know, Jor-El says something about sending his son to Earth to protect him. And basically Zor-El decides, like, you know, my brother and I are at odds. But Kara, you can kind of help repair the family, and that's why he sends Kara off to protect baby Cloud. You know, like, I just feel like there's always never really been that good story, that good beat between the brothers.
Yeah. Right.
And the fact that we have a new actor for Jor-El and we have a new actor for Zor-El right now, that's something that we could see. You know, these kind of the brothers L that we've never seen together in live action.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that would be cool to see. I mean, we get different stuff. This one, I mean, we get Jonathan and Jordan. We get that brotherly stuff.
Right, and that'd be a cool parallel of, like, you know, something about, like, your grandfather and his brother had a falling out. Like, let's not, you know, like, talk about family. Like, that's what I'm saying. Bring Supergirl into the discussion about how family is, you know, and the fallouts and what can be. And had Jor-El and Zor-El been united, maybe they could have saved more of Krypton. Because we also have the Argo story of the Argo City, but we don't even know where that stands after Crisis.
Yeah, we don't. There's a couple of interesting scenes in this trailer. There's Clark and Lois in front of Captain Luthor and some kind of explosion on a truck. Wonder what's going on there. He's revealing himself or something. And then we've got Sam with a weapon inside of the Kent farmhouse, and there's all the black SUVs with police lights going off all over the Kent farm outside. I mean, I wonder if that has something to do with, you know, Sam and Project 7734 and him, I don't know, going after Superman because his priorities aren't the same. To break it down to like such a simple idea of something we've heard already in the series.
And we also got some behind the scenes photos that were released of a flashback episode where we have Superman back in the Fleischer suit fighting a villain that was referenced in Superman Smashes the Klan. And we see a more traditional looking Clark Kent in a phone booth on the streets with Lois. So that's something that's coming ahead that I'm looking forward to.
Ooh, that's exciting. Him getting back in the Fleischer costume. That's cool. That's really cool to be able to see different eras of Superman and him actually have different costumes at different times. There were different suits at different times.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, we all change our clothes daily.
Right.
You know, he's in battle. His costume gets damaged. You think at one point he might be like, you know what? I need to refresh. I need to change something up.
Yeah. He's got to keep up with the style, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, I just wanted to interject real quick here because we were actually going to record this, but James had to leave early. So I just thought I'd go ahead and talk about it real quick. But Superman issue 31 came out. James and I'll be back to talk more, but I wanted to hit on some points. I really love the dynamic of John and Clark. I really love what they're doing. And the fact they're showing John as his own man. But I really did not care too much for just the off-world with this alien group. You've heard me talk about before how I just feel about some of the dynamics of Superman being off-world. And I like where they're going with John. I do miss young John, but I'm glad that we have the challenge of the Super Sons at the same time. And with this whole infinite universe, it would be nice to just see an Earth that maybe John is still young and get some more adventures that way. I'm excited to see where they're going to keep going with Superman right now. Well, good listeners, what did you think? Let us know about your thoughts on this season of Supergirl, the excitement for the return of Superman and Lois, and are you excited for anything in the DC world right now? Or are you just jaded and hate everything? I don't know. Let us know. Hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Check out our YouTube page. We're doing a YouTube push. We're going to have some fun things coming that way this summer. And remember,